Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back for another week of the GSD Power Hour, which usually ends up being about 2 hours, but that's all right. Thank you guys for being back here. Let me open up the question box and get ready to go. We have a very awesome session planned for you today. I'm looking forward to it. This is the second time we're going to bring in one of the more successful members of the community and not only have me interview them and get to know them a little bit better, but you guys as well. You guys actually voted for the Moose, who is on the call with us today. So I'm going to intro him in just a few minutes. First of all, of course, want to do personal and company updates. I don't have a ton of personal and company updates that would be interesting to you guys here this week. The most interesting personal thing, I'm back on my Starbucks kick, so we're going to go back to, I'll be boycotting them again next week probably. I did get the iPhone X, and let me tell you what, I'm really not too big of a fan of it. I don't know if anyone's gotten this iPhone X yet. It's a great phone and everything. It's quick, but holy cow, like there's no start button. There's all these weird little swipe gestures. You have to learn to do everything, and just a very inconvenient usability standpoint. The camera on this thing is freaking amazing, but pretty much everything else is not an improvement, I don't think. So awesome phone, got that as big news for us this week. Other than that, though, you know, we're getting a lot done in StartupBros. We are rocking and rolling. We have a lot of awesome content lined up for you guys over the next, really leading up to January. All sorts of interesting people that I've networked with. I met so many people on our China trip that I said, man, I got to get you in, and we got to create some content together. So I got one guy that I met actually on the plane ride over named Brock, who sold over 1 million pairs of solar eclipse glasses within like a 4-day period when obviously the eclipse was happening. He was one of only 2 sellers that were able to sell on Amazon, sell these solar eclipse glasses. So I told him we have got to write a detailed case study about how you did that. He went from nothing to millions of units sold, not even millions of dollars, millions of units sold. So many millions of dollars in just a week or two, and obviously we're bringing him in. All sorts of people. I probably got 9 or 10 different high-level experts with extremely interesting stories that I'm going to be working with. Because the thing is, a lot of the times the people that have the coolest stories don't have platforms like this and don't have the know-how to communicate that in a really interesting and effective way. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Over the next 3 months, you're going to see a lot of new content coming out on the StartupBros blog, all about these different journeys that these other high-level people have taken. So looking forward to that. Other than that, though, just rocking and rolling, working a lot on the back end of the business. I will be turning my focus again towards e-commerce empire, and there's a couple videos that I want to update in there. There's a couple videos that are just blank right now if you look. Those are videos that I want to make, and those are new updates that we're going to be making. So this is one of the benefits of e-commerce empires. We're always changing. We're always updating. We're always finding new strategies. And as things change, you know, the faster an industry grows, the more it changes. And so we're keeping up with that really effectively. But, of course, from time to time, you're going to see some missing videos. You're going to see some not outdated, because we don't really like to have outdated materials in there. So, again, a lot of times if something's out of date, I'll just remove it and put it on my to-do list. So I know there's a few things in there that a couple people are waiting on. I'm going to be shifting my attention back to e-commerce empire and creating some new training materials probably next week. And yeah, that'll be lots of fun. So that is my personal and company updates for you this week. And now we have the October Six-Figure Showdown winner. So let me bring up the actual Six-Figure Showdown page here so you can see kind of what it's all about. So Six-Figure Showdown, and as you guys know, my monitor is over here, so I'm going to look over there. So Six-Figure Showdown is our monthly prize package, basically our community spotlight where we can really celebrate some of the best members of our community, celebrate not only people that are making a ton of money, but people that are making strides, people that are taking steps forward and actually making an effort to build this business. Because effort is kind of the predecessor to actually learning and mastering something. And when you're building a business, you got to master it. So The six-figure showdown October prize package we just gave out last week. The grand prize package for October was our most valuable one yet. There's actually a couple other prizes that I have to add into this page that aren't even here yet. But this month's prize package was our most valuable yet. Next month is going to be just as valuable. Same prize package for next month for the November prize package. But the October prize package went to our man here. Let me bring up the Facebook posts and everything. Went to our main man, Mussayab, and he goes by The Moose, which Steve and I have just absolutely loved over the past few days. I think it's an awesome nickname. So we made this incredible image, or Steve made this incredible image of me and the Moose himself. And I just want to take you through, before I introduce the Moose, and introduce the Moose, I love it. Before I introduce the Moose, I want to go through his Showdown Throwdown here, his actual post to enter the six-figure showdown, and just show you what he's done. We actually left this to a vote of who was going to win, and the Moose won in a landslide. It was like 70% of people wanted him to be on the webinar and him to win the six-figure showdown. So he said, I checked today and realized I crossed the $1 million in revenue in the last 10 months of this year. It was almost a year ago when I started all of this, and remember the struggle I was going through. I had lots of restless nights and had my doubts about this, but I knew a day like this would come. Most impressive thing, too, this is under a year. This is under a year he made $1 million. $1 million freaking dollars, as I like to say. Somehow all of this doesn't feel so difficult anymore. Eric Thomas says, pain is temporary. It may last a minute, an hour, a day, or even a year, but eventually it will subside and something else will take its place, usually strength, right? If I quit, however, it will last forever, right? We talk about this all the time, and I love this quote that the Moose provided for us. If you give up, you ruin that timeline, right? Because everything becomes profitable on a long enough timeline. Even if you're like me and you throw a $500,000 event and lose a huge amount of money on it, that's going to become profitable on a long enough timeline. However, if I just stop and say, man, I give up and I'm just going to write that off and not learn anything from it and not leverage it in the future, well, then it's not going to be profitable. Then it is a failure. The only way it's a failure, though, is if you decide it's a failure and you decide to stop developing. I am still working full-time. This is the most interesting thing to me. Moose and I were just talking before this webinar, and he told me I'm still working full-time, which we'll have to ask him a little bit about once he jumps on here. Because, yeah, still working full-time, probably very close to quitting the 9-to-5 grind, but we'll have to ask him that in a couple minutes here. Taking care of my business on the side. Again, some of the most successful people in this program are doing this with a full-time job with 5 to 10 hours a week. Dr. Ben, right, another hugely successful member of the community, did it on the side while in medical school doing his residency with a few hours a day, if that, and made it happen. So keep that in mind, guys, because I think a lot of people in here, most people are starting this business while still at their 9-to-5, but there's a lot of people that are in college in this program that are doing this. Guys, if you got to use that time while you have it. You have so much free time in college, so much free time when you're young. If you just use that, if you really focus it in and say, man, I can completely pass up people that are working full-time right now, that's the way you got to think about it. So if you're young, get out there and get to it. I'm much more ambitious than before, obviously, right? It's all about growth rate. It's never about the dollar amount. It's always about the growth rate, right? So now Mussayab's got a $1 million company. He wants to continue growing it at probably 20-30% a year, I'm sure. Much more ambitious, yada, yada. I can expand my brand, and my vision has expanded a lot, and I can see it clearly now. It's true that your successes fuel your ambition. Your successes give you extra energy and pave the way for more successes. Absolutely. Success breeds success. My target for this year is to cross $1.4 million in total. To anyone who has those doubts, all you have to do is push past the pain and take action. And tons of great conversation happening in this thread here. We can see Mussayab's image, killing it. So awesome to see. And the profit margin too is impressive. Good profit margin on this type of earnings. So awesome stuff. Mussayab is our winner of the October six-figure showdown. The Moose himself. And again, $0 to $1 million in less than 1 year from that six-figure showdown post. and we'll bring him in now and grab a better introduction from you. So the Moose is on right now. The Moose, can you hear us? And hopefully you can get your webcam on and everything. Awesome stuff.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, you're coming in loud and clear, my friend. So the Moose is our October six-figure Showdown winner. A very impressive story, my friend. Do you want to take us through kind of your story and I guess how did you get involved in business and entrepreneurship? And then even further, how did you find e-commerce and e-commerce empire and get involved in this business model?
First of all, thank you for the great introduction. And secondly, I love what Steven has done with my picture. Every time I look at it, it just, you know, I can't stop laughing. You know, you have some really good Photoshop skills, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I guess I don't know if I told everyone, maybe from a previous post when I did that maybe 2 months ago, I mentioned that I'm from Pakistan and I moved to Canada about 8 years ago. I basically did bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I'm a mechanical engineer by profession. I came to Canada to do master's. And I did master's. I was working in a restaurant at that time. I was paying for my studies. I did master's. I found a job. It's really, really nice job. And after a couple of years, I started realizing, you know, what am I doing? You know, I am going to the job every day, 9 o'clock, coming back at 5, and being miserable. And I wanted to travel, you know, I wanted to travel a lot. Whenever I was traveling to different places, you know, even in Canada, Canada is beautiful. So I was going to different places in Canada. I found myself that, you know, I'm always happy when I am traveling and I want to do more of that. So then I sat down, I started realizing, you know, what are the things that I can do in my life that I can do more traveling. And sooner or later, you know, I took some courses on Udemy, finding my own vision, how to be, how to find your ultimate vision, what are you good at, you know, if you're an expert in something, maybe, you know, you should make a business around it, stuff like that. I found 3 things that I can do. One was real estate. I can invest in real estate and, you know, just retire early, invest in stocks, and do an online business at that time. Online business, I kept on going for a while. What should I do? You know, nothing was making sense to me. So I'm good in mechanical engineering. So I kept on thinking, okay, maybe if I make a blog about mechanical engineering and talk to people about, you know, how they can, you know, solve people's problem, stuff like that. But I thought there is not a lot of money in that, and it is a lot of hard work. So I started investing in stocks. I invested in stocks.
What year is this? Sorry to interrupt, but what year did you start investing in stocks then?
2016, early 2016.
Okay, so this is all really recent.
Yeah, so the 2015 was kind of like my discovery year. I was still procrastinating with doing, you know, stuff. I would come home. I know I wanted to do something, but I was procrastinating. You know, I wasn't reading the books to get more information. I wasn't reading taking the courses to find my vision. I was procrastinating. I was on and off, and, you know, meeting my friends, going outside, being more social. And I just did not get the time to focus on what I want to do in life. But that was really killing me day by day, day by day. And end of December, I made, you know, as a New Year resolution that I am really going to do something about my life. And that's when I started really going deep into real estate, you know, going deep into stock market, going deep into online courses. So I started with stock market around February 2016. I invested in small stocks only in Canada for about 3 months. I made some money with whatever my savings were from my job. I invested in that stock market around $20,000. And it was a lot of stress for me. Every day I was, you know, selling and buying, and I was keeping an eye on everything. It was really stressful. Sometimes the stocks were going down. They were more like penny stocks, right? I wasn't doing the fundamental analysis and doing the value investing. I was just doing the just the stock market, right? So I made good money, but then I realized it's a lot of stress. I cannot do this. And if I want to make something long term, I cannot rely on this. Stock market may go down one day, and I don't have a reliable business.
Yeah, and I mean, you're an engineer by trade, so I'm sure as an engineer, the volatility and uncertainty is just something that's very difficult to build a life around, obviously.
Exactly, and I work in automotive industry too. So I work for a consulting company. Ultimately, we work for automotive, and I know 2008, automotive had a huge crash, and it's gonna come later soon, within maybe 1 or 2 years, and then boom, you don't have any job. So that was another factor, finding stability, finding your true passion. So I started Udemy. I started taking some courses on Amazon or eBay. I started with drop shipping. I think the drop shipping was the answer for me, because I was looking at drop shipping. You don't need a lot of money. You just find a wholesaler. You tell him, okay, ship this, whatever. I'm sure everybody's familiar with drop shipping. Then I found out, okay, you know what, and then on my Facebook page, I saw the post from StartupBros, and it kind of it was a free webinar. I joined that webinar, and I remember listening to you, and you got me convinced. I think within 1 week or two, I made. And I'm that type of person who does not stop or hesitate for a single second to spend money on my personal development. If it's 4,000, 5,000, if I know it has a return, I would just jump on it and put a lot of money in it, because I think personal development is the best rate of return you can get from spending money on yourself.
Yeah, and even Warren Buffett says that, I think, right? Warren Buffett says invest in yourself before anything else, because that is inflation proof. Doesn't matter what happens to the economy, you're always going to be there.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So I saw your post, and I think I was already into getting samples. I was already taking some courses on Udemy. I was already in the process of getting some samples, but I took your course. I believe, if I'm not wrong, I think it was April or May 2016. But I was already in the process of getting some sample. I was working on one product. And I was working with 3 different suppliers. I did not know what to do. I was getting the sample, I was changing it. I wasn't sure to actually launch it. Every time I would come close to launching it, I would just doubt myself, saying, okay, you know what, still there's something missing. Maybe I won't be able to beat the competition. And then one day, I found another supplier on AliExpress, and I made the decision of going with that person because I liked his product a lot. So I ordered like about 500 units based on, I took the whole course of StartupBros. I made sure, I note down everything, whatever the strategies you told me, order small, get the samples to your house, start to try to sell the samples and see if it sells or not. I did that. My samples didn't sell, but I was in that stage where I was, I am going to sell it now. I am going to try this product. So I tried that product. I sold that product. I did at that time. There was Amazon was still allowing reviews. You can give your product for free, and you can get unverified reviews, and you're just putting a statement in the review section that you got this product in exchange for a review. So I did that. I gave like about 200 of the units for free. Spent a lot of money on advertising, spent a lot of money on different things, but that product was a huge failure for me. It just would not sell. I tried dropping the price down. It would sell like $1, $2 a day. It wasn't selling at all, and I got like 197 reviews. I was doing everything right, and so that made me realize, you know what, I started doubting myself again, that maybe this is not the thing for me. Maybe I should just stay an engineer and drop everything. I should not do anything. But then I'm that type of a person which I could not just be content with it. I said, there's definitely something that I am doing wrong. What is it that I'm doing wrong? it kind of pushed me to go out and get answers for everything. I started learning about optimizing my listing. I started learning about taking better pictures, optimizing my title, optimizing my product description, how to convince people, how to the listing that I got, the listing that that was written was by a freelancer that I got from Fiverr. So I wrote my own listing then. I said, I'm not going to rely on these people to write my listing. I'm going to rely on myself because I know my product the best. So I am going to advertise my product the best. So I don't know if anybody knows Karen Thaxton. She runs marketingwords.com. I took her course on writing the listings. So I wrote my listing. I took better pictures. I hired a photographer. And this damn product would still not sell. But that made me, it was such a disastrous experience for me. Everybody started telling me, you know, you should just quit. It's not for you. My mother was just against me. And because I was going negative, I was spending a lot of money and I was going negative. And I would tell my mother, I would tell my brother, and they would just, you know, doubt me, saying, you know, you should not do this. It's not for you. Stay an engineer, whatever. At that time, there was a lot of negativity, and every day I was looking at negative results, negative profit. But I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to try some other products. I went into more research, and I looked at different products. I think I remember going through your Excel sheet, you know, where you're, you know, sourcing different products, you're vetting out like which one is going to work, get the minimum order quantity price from Alibaba, you go through the customs and duties, which one is going to be more profitable. So I made that sheet. I brought like 50 products. I spent a lot of time, and I got 2 or 3 different products, and I worked on them simultaneously. I said, I'm going to launch all of these products.
You doubled down.
Yeah, I doubled down. I said, I'm not going to quit. I know it's working for other people. It's going to work for me somehow. But I was very stressful. Inside, I was very stressful. I started getting gray hair. I think I still have some. So I worked on those products, and they turned out to be, a couple of them turned out to be really, really good. And there was another product I was working on. I spent 3 months on that product, and I launched that in January 2016. That is one of my best sellers. As soon as I launched it, I realized, you know, it's selling really, really well. And I thought, you know, that was my own design, because I spent 3 months on it with a supplier to actually customize it in different ways, understanding people's reviews. I was going through each and every competitor's reviews to understand what is it that I can make better in this product. So I came up with a new design, and it was a huge success. And then I realized I have to apply for a patent for this product, because you know, I don't want anybody to steal the design of this product. So I applied for a patent for this product in US, in Canada, and in Europe. So I hold patent on this product in 3, Europe, Canada, and US. US is approved.
You got that patent?
Yeah, I did an expedited application. So
nice.
US is approved, Europe is approved, Canada, I'm still waiting for that.
I'm sure we'll have a few questions about that. Did you do that yourself, or?
Yes. No, nice. I hired a lawyer to actually do it. You know, you cannot. Yeah. So I hired a lawyer to do this for me.
Is that a utility patent or design patent?
It's a design patent.
Okay, cool.
It's not a utility patent. So after that, I guess I made a relationship with 2 of my suppliers. I did not go on finding a bunch of different suppliers. I started working with, I started thinking about long term. I started thinking, you know, I'm not going to just sell this product right now. I want to create like a bigger brand. And I had 2 brands in my mind. One was in one niche, the other one was in the other niche. So instead of focusing on different suppliers, I focused on the 2 suppliers that I had. I spoke to them. I told them, this is my vision. This is what I want to do. You should help me out. And they said, you know, Chinese suppliers were a little bit difficult. I have one supplier from Pakistan. They make products in one category.
And now, Moose, you're from Pakistan originally. Do you speak the language there, which I believe is Pakistani, but
it's Urdu. It's called Urdu.
Or do. So I wouldn't have gotten that. Learn something new every day. Have you noticed a big advantage in being Pakistani, and do you speak that language?
I don't communicate with them in Urdu. I speak
Okay.
typically English with them just to keep the professional.
So have
Uh,
you noticed any benefit at all then, or do they not even know that you're Pakistani?
they do know now. I just disclosed, to them like 2 months ago probably that I am from Pakistan too. Before that, they did not know where I'm from. All they knew is like we have a client in Canada who sells in US.
Okay, so someone if someone's new on the webinar right now and they're thinking, man, I don't have any cool connections like that. They didn't even know. It wasn't some personal connection. It wasn't even an advantage you had. You just found a good supplier in Pakistan.
I found a good supplier. He was at first they were not a good supplier. Trust me, they they were like any other supplier. They did not know me. But so the products I brought in, the first product that I brought in from the supplier in Pakistan. So the way I bring a product in, I I knew that I was going to lose a lot of money in the product launch. I had this in mind. I wasn't afraid to spend money. So the strategies that I learned in product optimization, or I also tried to understand the algorithm of Amazon, like how your product comes in from a vast jungle of different products to the very top. How does actually your product come to the top? What are the Amazon algorithm variations that make your product come to the top? So there are a few different things, right? You're obviously you need to sell a lot, right? And your product conversion rate should be really good. Conversion rate is a big factor that you need to improve. If you have good conversion rate, you will obviously bring your product on the top. How can you improve your conversion rate? My strategy was to sell at no profit. I was cost neutral. So when I would bring a product in, I would not try to make money. I would try to sell it at cost neutral, accepting the loss, and I would advertise it heavily. Just like with sponsored products, I would go automatic campaign, manual campaign, just in broad, whatever keywords I can
Yeah.
find.
And if you had $1 a margin, it sounds like you were putting that margin right back into PPC.
No, I was selling at cost neutral, but when I would come from, let's say, page 20th to number 2, I would slowly start to increase the price. I would bring it to from, let's say, $9.99 to $10.99. From after 2 days, I will bring it to $11.99, $12.99, and as soon as I come to the top, I would bring it to the actual price. That's what my strategy has been so far, and it works greatly for me without any product launches from third-party companies.
You haven't done any product launches through Viral Launch or anything like that. It's incredible. Every person that we've brought in for Six Figure Showdown so far has made over $1 million and has never done an external product launch. Every single person we've brought on so far, and take note of this, guys, every person has talked about product listing optimization and light PPC along with basically discount giveaways, which I would consider, if you're selling at cost, basically you're not doing a external giveaway, you're not doing a event or a campaign, but internally you are selling at cost and essentially doing a shadow discount to get it up to that level. Just really interesting. Every person so far has not done any external launching. It's just been product optimization, product listing optimization, along with a very light PPC. And it sounds like PPC is an afterthought to your strategy. That's just something that... Now, are you doing PPC with each and every product?
I don't stop my PPC on any of the products. I just keep on optimizing them. I start from broad and automatic campaign, and usually people say you need to let them run for 2 weeks. I let them run for even more than that, just to get, and I'm still losing money in some cases, but sooner or later I start to make profit because I'm increasing the price suddenly, right? Not suddenly, slowly I'm increasing the price as I'm coming on top. So profit margin is there, PPC is there. So, they kind of cancel out each other, but slowly and surely one day you can see you're making profit, right?
Now, the natural question that a lot of people are going to have is when you say bring up the price slowly, can you give us some insight on how you determine how quickly to raise the price up? Is it a week in between price changes? Is it a day? Is there any type of, what's your philosophy on that?
I guess it depends on how competitive your niche is, or how competitive your product is. If some cases I have realized that I have brought the price down to no cost, and I put the PPC. 2 days later, I am on page number 1. I'm on like ranking 7 or 8 on main keywords, and at that time I would still slowly increase the price, but not to a whole, you know, next level where I'm close to the competition. I always try to stay less than what the competition is selling in the start, because I don't have any reviews for me to I don't have any reviews going for me to say, okay, you know, my product is great. At first, I'm selling at still selling at a very low price than the competitors. So when I come to the top, then I bring the price at the same level as the seller. I don't go even above it. But some products I've realized, one of the products was a really tough one. The PPC was really competitive. The bid pricing, the bids were like really high, 2.5, 3, or sometimes $5 per bid. That was really hard for me to bring the product to actually even the first page was really hard. Even I was selling at no profit, it was really hard for me to bring the product to the first page. So I guess it really depends how competitive the product is, or how competitive even the niche is. Sometimes you may find you're on page number 1 in 2 days. Sometimes you may find you're on page number 1 in 15 or 20 days. But
so it's almost always within like a 30-day period you're going to try to get to that eventual price point that you're trying to get to?
Yeah, we can say that. Yeah, within 30 days I come to the actual price point, yeah.
And then do you manipulate your pricing ongoing as well? So 60, 90, 300, you know, 2 years down the line, are you still going to be looking at your rank on certain keywords and basically adjusting your price when you drop out of the ranking you want? Or is this a lever you're constantly using, or is this a one-time thing you build up to?
The products that I launched a long time ago, one of the product has, I think, close to about 700 reviews now, 5-star, right? For that one, I know now people are coming and buying in my product. Now I'm actually selling $2 more than the competition, and people are still buying my product, because this is my strategy now, right? I know I have 5-star review. The other competitor has 4.7 or whatever, but he does not have the same 5-star.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. You're basically doing classic entrepreneurship, classic startup advice. You're under-promising and over-delivering. If your price is lower, you're making the same claims and the same promises as a premium product, selling it at a slightly lesser price. So people are getting this thing and they're just blown away. And your review rate is probably higher than average.
My review rate is really good, yes.
And your reviews, once you get up to that price level, are just way better than any of your competitors, because they've been selling at full price the whole time. So it's a pretty smart strategy.
Yeah, so that's I try to give them my one of the other focus is to give them the best customer satisfaction experience they can get. I just if a customer complains just a little bit, I just don't ask him or hesitate to say, okay, you know what, you know, this is Amazon's fault, blah blah blah. I try to deal with Amazon, referring people to Amazon FBA, saying sometimes when they're late in shipping, or sometimes when the packaging is torn apart, you know, some people say, okay, you know, this is an Amazon FBA, and when you refer to them to Amazon FBA, they would still go and leave a bad review for you. I just tried to avoid that situation. During the start, I referred a lot of people to Amazon FBA, and I noticed that they were not doing anything. People who were annoyed at Amazon FBA, they would come to my listing and leave a review, even if it was a fulfillment by Amazon review. Then you would contact the review department from Amazon, and they are just the worst department in Amazon's whole history. They just don't listen to you. They say, you know, well, we have reviewed it, there's no violation, blah blah blah, we cannot remove the review. And it would just annoy you know, it was just not annoying me a lot. So I started taking care of these things myself. I said, you know, I'm giving them a lifetime warranty. I'm giving them a nice experience. I want them to. One thing I understood when I was doing the e-commerce, I was reading a lot of information from Shopify, from, you know, digital marketing. I was a member of each and every group. So I would spend a lot of time on reading different things, you know. One thing I realized very soon was word of mouth is the best marketing that you can do. You know, if people are buying your product, they're content with it, and they're gonna talk about your product with other people. So that's what happened. People started emailing me, you know, or started messaging me on social media and Instagram saying, you know, where can we get your this particular product? You know, my friend told me, and I saw her. You know, she was loving it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so people started contacting me and started giving me advice on next products too. A lot of people are still giving me advice on how can I even optimize my listing. If I'm targeting to one set of customer, a lot of people are giving me advice. You know what? You can also target to these people. You know, we are those people. We bought your product. We think this fit our needs. You can also target to this customer base.
Yeah,
so,
and even in the most extreme cases, you have a lot of sellers that will literally create different Amazon listings for the same product. If there's multiple ways to sell the same product to a different target customer, a lot of people even set up a completely separate product listing for that. Not super common, but just goes to show you, you know, it seems like you have put emphasis, which I love. This is one of the main differences between myself and a lot of other entrepreneurs that I meet. You've put the customer satisfaction and the customer experience above everything else, it seems. A lot of people think of themselves as Amazon sellers or as e-commerce sellers or as physical product brands or all these different things. At the end of the day, business solely exists to make people happy. So if the people that are interacting with your business are not extremely happy about it, then you screwed up. So I love, you know, Moose, and I would have done the same thing, and I think this is a huge lesson for especially new people to take away, is a lot of the times people will forward the customer service request to FBA support and just wipe their hands of it and say, you know what, I'm done with it. FBA support's handling it. It's their responsibility. Great entrepreneurs, and me and Steve actually talk about this all the time, the wealth and the power that you amass in life and the influence you amass in life really comes down to how much responsibility you take. And Moose here is literally saying, just literally said, I know that it's technically FBA's responsibility to handle this customer service inquiry, but he is taking responsibility for the customer experience and saying, even though it's technically not my responsibility, I'm still going to go above and beyond, and if this person's even a little bit unhappy, I'm going to go way above and beyond to make them happy, because that's the only purpose of a business, is to make people happy. If you're not making people happy, then you're not going to be in business very long. So I just love that. I think it's a great takeaway.
That's also a very exciting and motivating experience for you. During the start, even for me, coming as a new entrepreneur, I was reading the reviews. It would just make me happy. When I would get a 5-star review, it would just bring a lot of joy from inside me, saying, you know, oh, I created this thing, and people are actually giving me a feedback and loving this thing, right? How can I do more of it to actually make their experience even better than that? Because that was like a direct feedback from people giving me a direct response, and I am the one who brought that product. So actually, I am the one who created that product. Maybe I made some changes, made differences, and people are loving it. That was a great deal of joy for me, you know, and then it motivated me even more to enhance their experience.
Yeah, it's an incredible takeaway, I think, because again, a lot of people would just forward that to FBA support and wipe their hands of it. But guys, when you're first starting out too, Moose is probably running into this issue with where you're at in the growth of your company. Now you're right at the point where you're going to have to start not doing things that made you big. And this is what big companies are terrified of new entrepreneurs, because you can, and I say this all the time, but you can do things that don't scale. back when I first started my first companies, I could literally sit there with a client for 2 hours and just make their day, and then they're going to leave and they're going to tell all their friends about how incredible this business is. As you grow, you don't have the ability to give that one-on-one attention and individual attention to every single customer in every single situation. So you have to start making those sacrifices to scale it higher and higher. But when you're first starting out, this is one of your main competitive advantages. Moose has tons of 5-star reviews that are probably from customers that were unhappy, but because he goes farther above and beyond than anyone else, they wanted to go and leave reviews because they knew it would help him, and it's just a law of reciprocity. If someone feels like a company has gone way above and beyond to help them, they're going to try to find some way to reciprocate that, whether it's sharing your stuff on social media or telling their friends about it. To have word-of-mouth marketing on an Amazon product is a tough thing to do, and I just don't think it's possible without that focus on a 5-star customer experience, right?
Yeah, that's very true. And I have a lot of customers. Usually, even I know Amazon has banned this in like last 10 days, where you cannot find the customer and actually send them an email asking them, if they left a negative review, you could contact them. But last 10 days, I think October 26th, they masked the order ID and the customer ID and whatnot. So before that, I would just find the customer, send them a very nice email saying, we are a new company, we hear your feedback, and we are trying every day to make our products the best we can. We have listened to your feedback, but as anybody else makes a mistake, we also made a mistake, right? We can give you an immediate full refund, or we can give you a replacement of whatever the issue you were facing. We can send you a new product. We just request you to please help our new business out and remove the negative review. I had a success of I would say 60 to 70% people removed that review, and they even, some people even changed the review to saying, what an awesome company this is to deal with, and we're changing the review to 5 stars.
I mean, look at Kickstarter, right? People love to help out new businesses. We all love to help out new businesses. We're all entrepreneurs. If we see a review like that or if we see a message like Moose sent out come to us, we're going to automatically relate to that person and say, man, this person is just struggling to start this new business. Now I actually have the ability to help. So, I mean, again, I think your review rate is probably through the roof because of these different strategies you've talked about. So,
yeah, I have really good, depends on how much you're selling, but every day, most of the products I would get like 2 to 3 reviews easily.
Yeah, out of how many sales, if you don't mind me asking?
How many sales on one product?
Yeah, per day. So if you're getting 2 to 3, I'm just trying to figure out roughly your review rate. To get 2 to 3 reviews a day is great in general. I think the average review rate on Amazon right now is down to 1%. So if you're getting 2, 3 reviews a day,
it would be around 2 to 3. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally, if your review rate's 3%, you're at least, what, 200, 300%, 300% above the the average. So it's just incredible.
And I sent 4 emails asking for not for a review, and I follow your email templates which you have provided in the e-commerce empire. I have modified them a little bit, but 90% is the stuff is the same. And one thing I have added on top of this is I send an email when somebody sends a refund too, right? So when somebody requests a refund, I would send them an email asking them, I know you requested for a refund. How is it that we can make this product better? And we hope that we're still friends and no hard feelings, but just let us know how can we improve our products, how we can improve your experience, or why did you return this product? Something to that effect. And
yeah, because that's some of your most valuable feedback is going to come from those refunds.
Yeah, a lot of people just would tell me, okay, I bought this for my kid, it didn't work out. I bought this for somebody, or there's something wrong with the packaging, or different functionalities of the product. So that was a direct feedback, and I listened to, the other thing is I listen to a lot to negative reviews. I just don't offer people the refund and say, okay, I'm done with it. I would just make my supplier's life miserable if I get a negative review. I would say, why, I told you this, blah, blah, blah. Why are you not doing this? Or why is it this thing happened? Who is responsible for this? And the first day I started doing business with them, I told them, quality is something that I cannot compromise on. Just don't ever, when you would start compromising on the quality, that would be the last day of business, for us.
Yeah, you get one bad shipment. You get 1,000 unit shipment of terrible quality products. That's a smart thing to do, to tell your supplier, listen, I care about quality more than price, because most suppliers think you care exclusively about price, right? A lot of times suppliers will cut the quality of the product to meet a price. Like right now, you're seeing a lot of raw material prices in China go up, so a lot of suppliers just aren't telling the customers, and they're just giving crappier products for the same price because they don't want to tell them that. So I think it's a really smart idea too, to just tell your supplier, listen, we care about quality so much more than price, and in the event that you have to make a decision between price and quality, we'd rather pay a higher price for an order or two than have a bad quality order.
Yeah, as I said, I told them, and I would try to improve on the negative review too. Like, for example, if somebody said, the stitching broke off, I would ask them, what is this specific type of stitching that you're doing right now, and how would it improve in the future if they were to, use the product in a very different way. So they would give me different ideas, saying, okay, what, please don't get mad. For the next orders, we will use this type of stitching, at no cost to you, because this is our fault. Whatever they want my business to. They know that I've been using them for a very long time now. Now they listen to me. They know if they would do something stupid, they're going to lose all of that business. And a lot of people.
You found a true partner, right? You found a true partner in your supplier.
They're 100. My success without my suppliers is 0%. Like, they have helped me so much that I cannot just begin to explain. And as I said, I made that relationship with them in the start. I explained it to them, like, I'm not here for the short term. I'm here for the long term. I want to make a big brand. I'm not just, just selling one or two different products. We're going to sell a lot of them. You're going to help me out. We're going to start with, this is my strategy. I'm not going to order 100, 500 units from you from the get-go, right? You're going to send me a sample. I will check the sample. We'll make modifications. There's one supplier that still doesn't listen to me, but I know that product is a good seller for me, so I don't argue with him too much. But two of my suppliers, I'm able to order small quantities with them, because, and mind you, I did not start with that. I started with big quantities because they were not listening. They said, this is our minimum order quantity, 500. We cannot go less than that. If we go less than that, we cannot source the raw material. All those things. But after some time, they understood, like, this guy is selling. If we want to give him more products, we can. And once they understood, like, I would place a small order for, let's say, 300 units. Next order would be 500 with improvements. Next order would be 1,000 with more improvements. Next order would be 2,000. I've done maximum order of 4,000 for one product. And all with more improvements and more bigger and bigger orders. So once they saw that, they believed in me, saying, okay, this guy is not just, getting a small quantity. In the future, he's going to order more. So they were also willing to lose some of the margins because of the relationship.
Right, and now they're willing to probably even lose money on a couple orders, because they know that 9 times out of 10 you're going to start ordering hundreds, if not thousands, of units after that. So
yeah, I'm still working on a lot of products with the same suppliers. I'm starting to bring more suppliers in. I have now, I had 5 employees. One of them quit. Now I have 4 employees. But I have made
them. Talk about that for a second. So at what point did you decide that you needed that help? And it's got to be really interesting, just a bizarre situation to be in, to have 5 employees working for you and also have a full-time job. So yeah, talk about that a little bit.
It gets very very difficult, but I think it all comes down to during the start. I would just making labels, getting shipping codes, talking to customer, replying, commenting on their reviews, emailing. I would start getting emails, and that was like the first thing that made me realize, you know what, I'm doing this each and every day, the same thing. I'm not gonna grow this way. I have to, and labels was an easy thing for me too, like making FNSQ labels or making a new product listing or carton labels and stuff like that. I realized that if I keep on doing this, I cannot focus on new products. And with the situation that I have, I work full time, and I don't get a lot of time to do this. So I hired one guy based on a recommendation from my supplier. He was actually his friend. He was looking for a job. He said, I told him I need help. And he said, okay, I have one. If you want to hire him, you can interview him, whatever. I said, okay, I'll interview him. He did not turn out to be the best employee, but during the start, I just kind of just gave him the stuff of making labels, replying to customers and stuff like that. But he was probably, I guess it has been a really, I'm lucky in that way that I started out with a bad product that made me realize that, like, what can I do to improve the experience in the future. I started out with a bad employee, so that gave me an experience of how I can, look for the next employees. What are the things that I'm looking for in the next employees that will make my experience or make my life more easier. So I hired him, and there were a couple of different job portals that I tried. Onlinejobs.philippines is one of them. I tried to hire a few people from there. I hired 2 people, but they also did not turn out to be great for me. There were some freelancers group in Facebook. One of them is from Pakistan. So I posted some job descriptions there. I hired a few people from that freelancing group. People were interested, and so the way I dedicate all of this stuff, like working full time and doing business, I think it all boils down to planning your day. When I know I have a lot of, and I'm not like just a mechanical engineer. I'm a manager in my position too. So I have tens of people working underneath me in my field, like every day. So I go to a lot of different meetings, sometimes I'm in US for different projects, because of automotive, right? So I plan my day each and every single night, what my next day is going to be to the dot. I just don't mess around. I did this in the past where I was forgetting things. I was too stressful, because once you don't do that thing, it comes back into your mind saying, okay, I forgot to do this, I forgot to do this, and it all becomes very messy.
All of a sudden, that's all you're thinking about is just keeping track of all the baloney little 1-minute tasks you have to do.
Exactly, and so that's where I realize I need to be more productive. I need to manage my time properly. Otherwise, I'm gonna not lose all of this. Otherwise, I'll be just miserable. So yeah. Time management is a big thing. Every night I spend like 5 to 10 minutes planning my next day. How is it going to be? If I have to go to the bank to do some wire transfers to the supplier, what is my lunch time? What I'm gonna do after that? Each and every hour, half hour, I would just plan to the till 10 p.m. minimum.
Now let me ask you this: did you ever? And obviously you said that before you started these businesses and before your schedule became unmanageable, that you were just storing all this information in your head, trying to keep up with it, which is what most people do. I think everybody knows that writing down your plan for the next day is a smart thing to do, and it's going to increase your productivity. Why do you think it doesn't work for a lot of people? Because this is something that I try to do as often as I can now too, either plan the next week or plan the next day, ideally. But the trouble with me for a long time was planning it all out and then just not doing it, right? You end up procrastinating, you end up finding other stuff to work on. So can you talk about how you developed the discipline required to do that? And for me, it was confidence in the plan. If I was not confident that the plan that was the best thing for me to be doing at that hour, then my brain would just go off on a tangent and find something else to work on. So for me, that's what it was. But how did you develop that discipline, and was it a challenge for you at all?
Yes, it was. It was a huge challenge, especially with the distractions that you get during the day. Not from just from my work, but now having my employees, they always distract me too with, you know, a simple question that needs to be answered right away. Otherwise, you know, it's gonna be. And I have what I should say is I made these plans for some time, and I would not follow through for some of the tasks that I assigned to myself, and I realized I'm in a much more worse situation than even planning my day, right? If I'm not following my plan, I'm basically shooting myself in the foot. I am again stressful. I am not focusing on the things that I should be focusing on in the future. I'm still going back to the same thing. It's a loop in my head. It's a loop in my head. And then the other thing is I not realize, but it's a thing that I think is a psychological thing too. When you take action, when you do something right away, it gives you a lot of pleasure, right? It gives you, it tells you your mind, oh shit, I've been thinking about it for the whole day or for the last 1 week, but it was just like a 5-minute thing, and it did not, you know, it was nothing.
Yeah, you build it up in your head, right?
Yeah, so that kind of gives you a motivational experience or a psychological push to say, okay, you know what, you can follow this. And now even once you start to do all of this, then and you tell all the people around you that, you know, you're just not that type of a person you can come and talk to and say, you know, you can distract me, right? You have to plan this. If you want to talk to me, maybe you have to, you know, book a meeting, or, you know, just tell me when do you want to meet me. You cannot just come to me even in my office and talk to me, right? So yeah. I guess taking action is one thing, slowly and surely will give you a lot of confidence to follow your plan. And once it's going to take some time. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. People will still procrastinate. Even I do. I still procrastinate. I still leave some of the tasks that I'm supposed to do, but they're small tasks, and my brain tells me, okay, you know what, you can do it tomorrow. It's not going to take too much time. But yeah. I guess more you do it, more confident you become, and more relaxing is it for you.
It's a habit, right? It's definitely a habit. I think the big thing for anything like that is you have to be aware that even people like you and I who are saying we do this and it's super helpful and you should do it too, we're not hitting 100% with it either. We're not hitting, at least me, I'm not hitting anywhere near 100%. Like the act of planning is very important. The act of prioritization is very important. But there was a good 6 to 12 months of me planning where it wasn't being followed through on. But this is also how you find your own workflow and everything, and how you figure out how much can you handle in a single day. Just going through this and having this feedback loop, like you said, Moose, you know, sometimes when you first start out, you're going to all of a sudden discover that you think you can get 46 things done in a day, and you can usually only get 2 or 3 things done. So it just really helps you to modulate your own expectations of yourself and plan more effectively, because you can figure out what can actually be accomplished and what can't. And then when you get to a point where you realize, like, man, Moose, it sounds like you've run into this too, where all of a sudden you're just answering emails all day, and then you realize that you're definitely not building a business anymore. You know, you're not growing.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to offload a lot of this stuff. And the other thing I'm doing is, and most people, I don't know if they agree with me or not, as soon as I hired my employees, and I've been a manager. I've been a bad manager, a good manager, but I learned a few things from being a manager, right? The most important thing I learned was this, that you need to treat your employees as a family. I don't keep like a big distance from them, saying, you know, I try to share some of my personal things too, not a lot, but I still share a lot of personal things. And I tell them, if there's anything wrong with me, you should have the courage to tell me on my face. Just don't think I will make, I'll be angry at you or make fun of you. And at the same time, I am training them a lot. I am telling them each and every insider secret of Amazon that I know, because they may leave, they may start their own business, or they go to some other company, but I think I cannot build a bigger brand with just doing everything on my own and not telling them the secrets that I know. If I can lay off those secrets to them, only then they can work on those, and I can start focusing on new things that I can do.
Yeah, I think also, don't hire shitty people.
Exactly.
That helps to that too. If you're hiring correctly, you should hire people. And if you're a good leader, like this is the difference between good leadership and bad leadership. People in positions of power are either seen as good leaders or bad leaders based on whether or not they multiply the people around them. Good leaders make everybody smarter, everybody more successful. Good leaders, you come in contact with them and you leave a better person. Bad leaders are trying to exploit people through their position of power and things like that. But if you're a good leader trying to hire good people, I think a lot of people are going to very much appreciate all of the secrets and all of the knowledge that you've given them, and they might use that in another position in the future. But they're sure going to treat you like gold and give you precedence over everyone and priority, and at least make sure they're not completely ripping you off. You might have your toes stepped on, but so I think it's good to be a good leader as long as you're hiring good people that aren't just maliciously trying to stab you in the back.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the interview process is, and I try to not only hire people for their technical knowledge or even skill. I try to hire people with the ability to do that kind of work. I can easily teach. I learned Amazon myself. I did not know anything about Amazon. If I can learn it, I think anybody else can learn it too. All they have to do is have the right mindset and willingness to learn it. So when I started hiring, I started focusing on this thing. What are these people that are willing to learn about this, right? And that's when I taught them each and every. I don't want them to go out and learn strategies of different other sellers, right? I want them to learn my strategies or what's my way of doing the business. So it's kind of like, they were an infant, and I started telling them, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And now they are doing a really good job. I'm very satisfied with the team that I have, and I'm slowly and surely expanding into more people, hiring digital marketer or a graphic designer full-time, stuff like that. But I'm very much satisfied with the team that I have right now.
Nice, very cool. All right, so Moose, I'm going to do something I've never done on a GSD Power Hour before, but I really have to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to do that for a second. Can you tell us in your story, though, because we have a bunch of questions that are stacking up here, and we're already an hour and 10 minutes into this. So can you bring your story from where we're talking about right now to where we are today, kind of wrap that up, and then after that, I'll be back from the bathroom, and we'll start knocking out questions.
Sure. I guess, so I've been selling for almost 1 year and 3 months now, right? And I only started hiring people about 3 or 4 months ago. So I think the main thing everybody has to focus on is you gotta do things yourself first. Try to understand and learn anything that you are doing yourself first before you start hiring any employees. The thing that I'm still focusing on is, and the things that I want to grow on is that I'm offloading the things that I know to my employees, and only then I can guide them better and tell them things that I know are good for the business. And I try to learn things every day so that I can be good at those things. And for example, digital marketing is one of those things that I'm trying to learn these days. Not become a great expert at, but at least I should have the knowledge to understand where what is happening, you know, or somebody is not cheating on me. So I guess when hiring employees, don't just hire them for the sake of hiring. Become an expert in that particular field yourself. For example, I would focus on Amazon. Become an expert in Amazon yourself, only then hire people and give them the work. Only then you can be a better leader. Only then you can tell them things that, you know, they should focus on, and they will start to trust you even more when they would know that, you know, we have a problem and they are coming to you and you have the answer every time.
Awesome stuff. Well, I am back now, my friend, as well. All right, cool. So you want to start knocking out some of these questions? Because they're piling up, and I don't want to keep you all night. All right, cool. So I'm going to start going through and knocking out some of these questions then. We were talking about employees and hiring. So let me I got one question that builds off of that we were talking about. And I think you mentioned some of this, so you can answer this one pretty quickly. But where are your employees based? Are they overseas or local? And how did you find them? What positions do they fill? So I know you answered a few of those, but
can you repeat the question again? So are they local?
Yeah, so
or no?
are your employees, are they all overseas? Are they local? Are they mixed? And how did you find them? Which you already talked about that a little bit, so I guess we can skip that. And what positions does your staff actually fill right now?
I have a project. I call that position an operations manager or a project manager. So that particular person I speak to a lot. Instead of speaking to all 4 different employees, I speak to that person a lot, and I tell them to dedicate stuff to the other employees. And then I have an e-commerce or Amazon specialist, which I call, that handles emails, that handles, you know, small stuff like making FNSQs and stuff like that. I have a graphic designer which makes new product designs or works on photos, enhancing photos, making sell sheets or stuff like that. You know all the good stuff that you see in the photos, right? I have 2 e-commerce specialists and 1 operations manager and 1 graphic designer, which is part-time, and I'm working on hiring a digital marketer to work on my website and also maybe get some traffic from outside of Amazon.
Nice. And then the natural question becomes, which one of those employees do you think is most valuable? Or I think a lot of people here that don't have any employees yet are thinking, when should I hire an employee, and what should be that first position I fill? So what would be your opinion on that?
I guess when you should hire an employee is, I think I already talked about it a little bit. First, try to do things yourself. Once you think you have become an expert in that thing, or you or you're doing it every day, which are, you know, repetitive tasks, for example, emails or whatever, then you can, instead of hiring an expert in Amazon, you know, right away, you can hire like an assistant, a small scale person who can help you out with just some of that stuff. And when you start to grow a little bit more, then you can focus on hiring like an expert or somebody who knows about e-commerce. Slowly and surely you can hire these people. But if it depends on, like, you know, if you're expanding 20%, 30%, or if you're expanding 50%, then you need a lot of help. But if you're expanding like only 10%, then maybe you're good with hiring like somebody who can just take care of your regular everyday stuff, replying to customer reviews, you know, emailing people, replying to emails, making labels, checking your advertising campaigns and stuff like that.
That is great advice, my friend. All right, cool. So we're going to go lightning round mode, and things will probably not line up perfectly anymore because we covered a lot of different subjects, really interesting. So I think people have just random questions about a lot of different things that were mentioned here. So we're going to go a little all over the place, but we'll get these questions knocked out. Julie Stackpole again here asked, and hello, Julie, asked, I would like to know how much you invested on all your initial failed products before you found your winner. It's a good question.
I think I wasted good about $5,000 on the first product, maybe even more than that. because I sourced that product for whatever amount. Then I gave some $1,000 to do a campaign for getting reviews at that time. That was a huge, not a failure for me. I got some reviews, but that was a money added to the cost of the product. I would say about $5,000 to $7,000 is what I spent on my first product, which was a failure. And then the next product was I did not order a huge quantity, so that would be like, I think $2,200 is what my next order was for 500 units, and I did not.
The same product?
Sorry.
That was the same product, the two
No,
orders?
that was another product which was a success for me.
So the second product was a success. And it's interesting, too, because it seems like you just went back to fundamentals. You know, it seems like the first launch you played your bankroll a little bit too heavily. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is just what it seems like. It seems like on that first one you might have played into your bankroll thinking, and this is what happens. We were talking just a little bit ago about how when you're small you can do things that don't scale, and you can do things that really big sellers can't do. So what was I just I forgot the point I was just about to make.
Went back to fundamentals.
Yes. So thank you. So on the first product, you played into your bankroll, and you basically psychologically may have fell back and gotten lazy a little bit on the fundamentals because you were thinking, well, I have $5,000 to $7,000. I'll just do a bigger product launch than everyone else, and no one can beat me. And then on the second launch, you said, you know, you really went deep into the product listing, the images, and started to hit those fundamentals in a much more in a way that was really much more observant and deliberate. So do you think that's a valid observation? Do you think that people just starting out should really focus on those fundamentals? Because it seems like that's what made the big difference for you.
Yes, as I said, you know, when my first product was not selling, I focused on everything. I started learning about product optimization, title optimization, what pictures actually convince the customer to buy, what product description in a certain way makes the customer buy, right? Fundamentals like, you know, not the reviews, but you know, you don't need a product launch. I would say, you know, if you really want to do it, pictures are really important. I think 90% of the people don't even read your bullet points or even your product description. They just look at your pictures, they look at your title, and they just make a decision in an instant saying, okay, we're gonna buy this or not. I know I buy on Amazon and I do the same stuff. So yeah, you know, you have to go back to the fundamentals and start to understand the nitty-gritty of how Amazon actually works, how ranking works, how PPC works, what pricing strategies you can use, and how are they going to work for you. Maybe you need to test out a product pricing for 2 days and then, you know, see how is it performing for you. You know, different things. I would also say do a little bit of A/B testing. You don't need to use a software. If you have like a sales software, that's good enough for you, but try to change different pictures and see, you know, if you start to sell well. Sometimes I've changed my main image and the next day I've noticed, like, you know, my products have gone through the roof. My sales have gone through the roof. So pictures, I think they matter a lot. And yeah, focus on the fundamentals, obviously. For sure.
You talked a lot about conversion rate and how important that is to you. What's a good benchmark conversion rate for your product listings? What's the number where if it's below, say, 10%, you're
25%.
25%. That's great. Yeah. So those are great listings. You know, you have to think about these launch services and all these different little tools and marketing tactics and all these things. They're all a bottle of lighter fluid. They're all a bottle of gasoline, and your product is the actual fire that you're spraying this gasoline on, right? But if you don't do the fundamentals correctly, if you never actually light the fire, you can do all the viral launching you want, right? You can do all the different services you want. You can spend thousands of dollars on promotions, but if you didn't light the fire, you're just going to be spraying the gasoline on the ground, and it's not going to do anything. If you actually do the fundamentals correctly, that's lighting that fire And then when you do things in the future, spray the gasoline on with some marketing services or something, it's actually going to explode. But if you never lit the fire, of course, then putting the launch services on top of it just not going to do anything. So
yeah, one thing I would like to also say is when I'm writing my own product listings, I think I spoke about this before, that I don't hire anyone else to do the product listing, because I know I've been working on my product. I've been working on the samples. I'm working on the competition reviews. I know my product the best. Nobody else can know my product. So I try to focus on things that my competition is lacking, right? I try to promote 2 or 3 different things that I know the other competition is lacking. For example, double stitching, or something like durability. For example, plastic bag support. Some stuff like that, which I know the other competition is lacking a lot. I try to follow a title strategy. The first, I try to break down it in 3 different sentences. First is just the product introduction, the main keyword by the brand. Then, what are the 3 main unique selling points of my product which are better than the competition? I put them in the title, and I try to make sure that they're also good with the keywords, if I can, include the good keywords in those unique selling points. And then a little bit more explanation about my product. How is my product going to improve their life? Just a small sentence, improve your bodybuilding experience or stuff like that. And when I'm writing the product listing myself, I focus on all of these different things. I just don't focus on search engine. I'm not stuffing my listing with keywords. I just try to write everything first and say, how I'm going to convince people. Once everything is done, once I write the product description, bullet points, then I go for the keyword research. Then I go research the keywords. Then I find out those keywords and start putting them in the listing itself. That helps a lot with, then you probably don't even need to go to, I still use Helium 10 or any other software to find out, if we're missing any keywords. But usually I try to include 90% of the keywords in the product description and in the bullet points and in the title.
You're literally writing for humans first, which I love as well. Write it for humans and then do the keyword analysis after and input those keywords where you see fit and where you see the opportunity. I think that's a brilliant thing to do. Too many people are just trying to game the algorithm, right? There's a balance between that customer experience and the technicalities of the business model. So yeah, just really brilliant to hear your how you found that balance, and I think that's a really smart way to do it. All right, so on to the next question. Lots of great stuff in that answer, though. Rhonda Benjamin here said, fellow Canadian resident, I want to know if he's selling on .com, .ca, or other platforms. Can you talk about the different channels that you sell on and different countries and things like that?
Sure. So when I started selling, I obviously started with .com. I've been selling on .com from July 2016 to I guess March 2016. That's where Walmart actually invited me to sell on their platform. And before, I had a sole proprietorship in Canada only. I was a sole proprietor. I did not have any organization either in Canada or in US. So Walmart invited me, and I thought it was like a big opportunity for me at that time, and I got really interested. But they told me, if you want to sell on Walmart, they invited me, there was like an application process, and that you have to fill through. At the same time, I got invited by Merch by Amazon, and they also asked me to apply for the Merch by Amazon. So for Walmart, I needed to make a corporation. And I made a corporation in US. I went to different hoops. Since being a Canadian and not even a citizen here, it was really difficult for me to open a corporation in US. I opened up a US corporation. I opened up a Canadian corporation. And that made me realize, what? I'm making a Canadian corporation. Why not sell in Canada? So I started selling in Canada in, April of this year, which is April 2017. And that also pushed me to sell on other platforms too. Actually, as I said, in my post, your success is fuel more successes. Amazon started inviting me to sell on Europe. You know, they have given me a dedicated manager who is working with me to put my listings in Europe in all different platforms, and they are like they have a direct line with me. They're helping me to promote my products and sell on Europe too, and they are helping me with Canada as well. But so I have them for like 1 year. They're gonna help me out. So I'm also launching in Europe. I had only one product in Europe before. In last 3 months, it's starting to sell. The Amazon itself is doing the translation for my listings. I'm not hiring anyone else. They're doing the translations for my listing. They're putting the advertising themselves. And you know, I applied for the what's the number, VAT number in Europe before I started doing this. So Amazon has been really helpful. I think they also want to expand a lot, so they're gonna help a lot of different sellers. If you're doing good, they will treat you somewhat good. Some of their department will treat you good. So to answer that question, yes, I am in .com, I'm in .ca, I'm expanding in Europe as well.
Natural next question that someone's gonna have is, do you know your percentage breakdown between those at all? I'm sure it's almost like 80-90% US, but
yes. You answered that question yourself. 85, I would say, is still coming from US, and 5 to 10 .ca. I see .ca expanding a lot in the future. When I started bringing my listings in, they would not sell, but as soon as, obviously it's the same case in .com too, when you start to get more reviews, it's very easy to rank in Canada. Very, very easy. PPC bids are like cents, like 5 to 10 cents per click, which is nothing. You can easily come on top, but you don't have the same amount of traffic. But I think Amazon Canada is expanding a lot, and Amazon Europe is also expanding a lot. So, and I know for sure, I have some friends which are also engineers, and they're making like these fulfillment warehouses for Amazon in Spain and Italy. They're working on that right now. So Amazon is expanding a lot in Europe, and I think it will be really good to go towards those markets.
All right, awesome. Good stuff, and good thing Moose just won himself a free, I think 2 free product launches in the EU. So.
Oh, really?
Well, you gotta message me for me to get you those prizes. Yep. But yeah, that's a new prize. But yeah, definitely give that to you. Aaron said, "How much did you spend to start out?" So I think we already covered that. Julie said, "So you made $1 million in revenue in 10 months, and it sounds like it might have been just a little bit over 10 months or a year or something since you got started. You said you got started about April of last year, was it?
July 2016 was when I first brought the product into the market, which was a huge flop. So
yeah, so you're looking at like a year and 2 months, a year and 3 months, something like that?
Yes.
Somewhere around there. My math isn't very good, but somewhere in that ballpark. All right, cool. So she said, what is the net profit margin that you work on? How much do you spend on advertising and marketing? So good questions.
Yeah, it's a really good question. But as I said, when I'm doing a product launch, I don't focus on that stuff. I only focus on getting the product out through the door. As much as I can sell my product out through the door, without looking at the profit margin, and more I would get the reviews, more I would get the customer feedback, and more I can enhance my product in the future. It all eventually plays out, because during the initial launches, I lose a lot of, not a lot of money. I don't want to scare people off saying by a lot of money. I do lose some money, because I'm selling at cost neutral and I'm advertising, so I'm basically losing money on advertising. But I'm making that from other products. That's my strategy, right? Of not quitting my job right now, because I'm using the money that I'm making from other products to launch new products, right? So I think when the product is fully optimized, it's working, I try to target for 20 to 25% net margin. But it also depends on your niche. You know, if it's too competitive and you don't have the same margins, obviously you're not going to have the different margins. One of my product is really good. It gives like 25 to 30%. but others sometimes give 15. You know, some of products are really competitive. So, you know, I think it all depends on the competitiveness of the market.
And then you said 20 to 25% net margin. Does that include your advertising budget in there?
Yeah.
Is that where you try to end up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the margin, and this is how it always is, right? The margin is kind of, I mean, we do the same thing a lot of times. We'll start out at zero margin basically and just build it up to eventually get to a higher profit margin. So keep that in mind. You know, obviously most businesses, I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but it's something like most businesses lose money for the first year and a half or something like that. You're lucky enough to be in a business where you don't need to lose money to be successful. But certainly, you know, be willing to break even if you can handle that, because, you know, that's, again, another way to get ahead of bigger sellers. Do things that don't scale. John Miller said, what made you change from a bad supplier to a good one? And I'm sure that's in reference to something we were talking about. But I guess, are there many suppliers that you have discontinued, that you don't use anymore, that you were using?
No, I think his question is more like when I said, you know, they were not a good supplier always, I made them the good suppliers. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think more communication and, you know, telling them what I am doing in this field, not just for the short term, I'm here for the long term, was the kind of the deciding moment that they realize, you know, this person has a huge. I told them, you know, I want this to be the biggest brand, and I'm competing with, you know, the biggest brands in the world. I'm not gonna stop until I am there. So once I told them, they kind of realized, you know, this person is not just screwing around and he's serious. So that made
that's great too, because people are always afraid to make projections and to say that to a supplier that, hey, you know, we're not going to make the biggest orders right now, but we're going to be huge. We're serious about this. People a lot of times are afraid to tell that sort of thing to a supplier, and it seems like you have just been transparent with suppliers, and again, you know, it's not you going to the supplier and saying, I am the biggest brand and I am competing with these people. It's saying, this is what we're trying to do, and we'd love to partner up with you on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Is there anything else, I guess, that you could, for anyone that has a bad supplier that is trying to change them into a good supplier, do you have any further advice other than go through module 3?
If they're a bad supplier, you should also be able to understand people too. I'm not saying, you know, if it's a bad supplier, he's going to turn into a good supplier, right? It's involves everything in your life too. If you can point out your good friends, you can point out your bad friends. You can also point out a good supplier and know if he's interested or he's just trying to screw you to make money for himself. You know, if he's a nice person, if he's talking to you in that manner where you think, okay, you know, we have a connection and I don't think that person is a bad person. My suppliers trust me so much right now, they don't ask for even the first initial deposit. They keep on sending me products, and every month or even 2 months or so, I send them like one big wire transfer for all the outstanding amounts. So this trust is obviously developed over time, right? We have communicated a lot. They kind of judged my personality, I kind of judged their personality, and we came to this conclusion, you know what? I know, like, people are scared of people in China, you know, screwing them, and there's been a lot of instances where, you know, people just scam you for the money. But you should be able to understand people. If you don't, like, you know, I guess go read some psychological books, and yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people can tell, you know, if the other person is a bad person or not in most of the cases.
You know, I think so many people get into business in general, right? This is a mental block that we need to get over. And I'm not saying that anyone has this, and definitely not John Miller that asked this question. I'm not singling you out or anything. But a lot of people think about their relationship with a supplier as a transactional one. as if it's like going to Walmart versus Target versus Kmart versus Publix versus Whole Foods. They're thinking about it like, well, I don't like this place, and file a complaint and all this stuff. But this is much less a transactional relationship than a true business partnership with your supplier. So sometimes there's great suppliers that you just don't click with. You guys just don't work together well, and that's perfectly fine, right? There's big, famous entrepreneurs that I've tried to work with that we just don't click together, and it just doesn't work. It might be a great idea, everything else might be right, but the personalities just don't click and they don't connect, and the spark doesn't happen, and the magic doesn't happen. That same thing happens with suppliers just as much. So keep in mind that it's not so much finding the best supplier. It's finding the best supplier for you in your situation, and a supplier that you click with and can develop a good partnership and a good relationship with.
Yep, absolutely. One of my suppliers, she's having a baby, and she keeps sending me the pictures of her baby, or she was pregnant. So I kind of like, yeah. So I'm just trying to say, like, she trusts me, or she thinks like we're part of the same, we're good friends, and not just like business partners or whatever, or just like, as you said, just not just a transaction. It's sharing your life with them.
It's a true relationship. It's a real relationship now, and it goes beyond. I have suppliers that I don't even buy from anymore that I still keep in contact with. So, yeah. Like one incredible story I heard recently while we were in China, Dr. Ben and Dr. Pete, which I think Dr. Ben's on right now, but Dr. Ben and Dr. Pete with their supplier. They've been doing things for 2+ years now to try to become the VIP kind of the factory. So up until now, they've had someone making bigger orders than them in their factory, and because of that, they weren't going to get their inventory for Q4. They were always second on the list of priorities for this factory. So they have now overtaken the #1 person at that factory, the #1 customer, not because they're ordering more, but because they built a better relationship with the supplier. The person who's ordering the most product from that factory doesn't talk to them much. They don't go out and visit. They don't send correspondence back and forth. So they don't have a strong relationship, but they buy the most and they spend the most, and that's the majority of that factory's business. But even for their Q4 order, they got their main competitor, because it's the same factory making both their product and the competitor's product. They got their main factory to delay the #1 customer's order and put their order on priority in front of it. So now they're going to get Q4 inventory and their competitors not. And the way he did that was from buying the guy a LeBron James jersey, buying himself a Steph Curry jersey, and now every time the Warriors or the Cavaliers are playing, they're texting each other. Dr. Pete doesn't even watch basketball, but he saw the opportunity to basically create a rivalry, and now every time Golden State and the Cleveland Cavaliers play in the NBA, they're texting each other back and forth about it, talking about the jerseys that they have and everything. So literally through looking for a really, really personal gift to buy their factory agent, they just pushed back their main competitor. So now their main competitor will not have inventory for Q4. They will, and it's all because of a LeBron James jersey. So just a really valuable concept again. And I think it takes time in business to realize that even business is all just people talking and having conversations and relationships, and but valuable insights there. So all right, so let's continue with our questions, and we won't keep Moose for the entire night here, although I'm sure we would like to. Abdul said, how do you handle and sell returning customers who know your old prices? Have you run into any issues with changing your prices over time and customers kind of seeing that you're changing pricing?
Yeah, I had few instances, but usually customer would email me saying, 1 week ago they saw the price at this level. Now why has the price gone up? And I would reply them instantly, you go ahead and order, and we will give you the old price, and we will give you a $5, $7, $9 refund of the difference right away. And they go and buy it, and I give them the refund.
Yeah, perfect. Great example of crossing that bridge when you get there, right? I think new entrepreneurs a lot, we can think ahead about a strategy and say, well, what happens when this goes wrong? Great entrepreneurs do it and wait for it to go wrong and then figure it out then. Ray Payano here, and this is the first time I think I've seen Ray Payano, so welcome, buddy. He said, what is your product finding process? I'm kind of surprised that we only got that question once here. Because obviously a lot of people just starting out, that is the top priority, is how do I find that profitable product, especially the first product. So what kind of advice can you give people to that end other than obviously what we talk about in the program?
I guess what I am finding out not every day, is slowly, is some of the products that are not even competitive, which do not have a lot of traffic. For example, if you go to merchant words and you see, you type in a certain keywords and you're only looking at like 15,000 searches for that traffic, try to go for that product, because I think I have done some product launches which I brought some products into the market which I thought will not actually sell a lot, because merchant words was showing very less search results for those, like 15,000 or 17,000, but they turned out to be a huge success for me. Reason being, there was not a lot of competition, and there were the PPC costs were really low, and the other competition did not have a lot of reviews, so it was really easy for me to rank up. Once I ranked up, I got all the traffic from those other competitions. So you're still selling 10 to 15 or maybe even 20 products in a day with all those 15,000 search results that you saw in merchant words before. And slowly and surely, I think more and more people are coming to Amazon day by day. Amazon is growing at like what, 20%? E-commerce is growing 20-25% every year. So more people are coming in. So what you see today, 15,000 search term results, next year is going to be even more than that. Maybe those products are not in huge demand, but in the near future, they're going to be in more and more demand. So I think if you're starting out, don't go for very high competition. I would avoid like anybody who has more than 300 reviews even. If only one person has 300 reviews, that's fine. But if 2 or 3 different sellers have more than 300 reviews, I would just try to avoid that and go for a product that has less competition, where you can make your mark suddenly. Once your product is out there, once people are buying it, then focus on making a brand, not selling different products. I think that's where one of my other strategies is the 7th picture that you see in Amazon. And I know in Amazon desktop you can see 9 pictures, but in Amazon mobile you can only see 7 pictures. My 7th picture is you may also like, and I have other products that I'm selling with the same brand. I have 6 pictures. 7th picture is you may also like for each and every one of my product. Each and every color, size. 7th picture is one picture where it says you may also like from this brand. And that's what brings me a lot of traffic, and that's what brings me a lot of brand recognition. One person is coming to my listing from somewhere, he looks at my product, he thinks, okay, you know, this is not what I'm looking for, but he goes to the 7th image, say, okay, you know what, this is what I'm looking for actually in the 7th, and he saw that right in the picture, in the 7th picture. Then he searches for it and then he buys it actually. That also improves my conversion rate a lot on different products, because that customer I did not bring from PPC. He went to one of my product and then, you know, he saw the branding or the you may also like, and he went to buy that product, you know, the other product. So
Amazon
some of
loves to see that too.
It's a mix of high competition, low competition products that I have, but focus on selling something maybe that doesn't have too much competition, and then start to try to build a brand. That way you will have a lot of traffic instead of, you know, having one product in one niche and one product in the other niche. Try to make a brand instead of just selling products.
Yeah, great advice there. And just to remind you guys, in module 2 you got the perfect product criteria. In here you got our product lifecycle video. This will talk in a much different way of explaining it, but similar to what Moose was just talking about, because I agree. I think you find products that have relatively low competition that are early in the life cycle, because if you can get your listing set up and get your brand set up as it grows, this is how you take over markets, and you know it makes it much cheaper to actually launch. You can compete with anything out there, but if you try to come out with vitamin B pills, get ready to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to rank the product. So the earlier it is, and the less reviews you're going up against, and the less established competition you're going up against, the cheaper it's going to be, and the more effective it's going to be. So, and if you can get in there as it grows, then you're just watching your sales go up because there's more people searching for it. You didn't have to do anything. There's just more fuel on the fire. All right, let's see what we got for you, buddy. We got Helen asked, Moose, how did you handle product transportation? Do you have a prep company? Do you ship product to Canada first, or you ship directly to Amazon FBA in the U.S.? And then to one additional question that someone asked too is, do you have a warehouse?
No, I do not have a warehouse. I have my apartment full of samples. I don't have space to actually put them because my suppliers, they keep, as I said, once you start working with them, they keep on sending you new and new products, and I don't ask, these products for them. They just keep on sending me, because they know
Every
me.
day you come home, Moose is coming home from work, and there's a freaking pallet outside of his door to break down.
No, the DHL guy knows me. He doesn't even drop the package at he said, I've dropped it. There's a package for you. He calls me and he's like, okay, I'll go and pick it up, because he's just too tired of me not being home and leaving the packages.
That's a lot of samples.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question? Yeah, I don't use.
So yeah. Product transportation, do you have a prep center? Do you ship to Canada first, or do you ship directly to Amazon FBA?
I do get the sample first in Canada. I look at it, obviously, and then when I do the mass order, it goes directly to Amazon FBA. And at the same time, the reason why I said I don't use a lot of suppliers is because I've already taught my suppliers how to put the carton labels, how to put the FNSQs, what are the carton requirements. They know it by heart. They know they do not have to increase the weight by 50 pounds or 25 inches on either side. I have communicated that to them several times. So I just make the labels and they go to a warehouse in US. I use Flexport for my shipping services. I just get the code, and Flexport handles everything for me from China and Pakistan.
All right, awesome. Simple enough. And I know a lot of people are going to ask, how do you get your supplier to ship directly to FBA? Moose, you can go into that if you want, but I am working on something for you guys. It's going to take me a few more weeks, but I'm working with someone right now he's got a bunch of documentation that we're working on translating into Chinese. So we're trying to put something together where you can literally just hand a process book and a guidebook to your supplier and kind of work through it with them. So I'm going to have some content, some real top-notch content for you guys on that in probably like a month. It'll still be a few weeks. But yeah, feel free to speak about that if you want. No one asked that, but I'm sure people are thinking it.
Yeah, as I said, I don't think it's a hard and fast rule unless until you go in oversized products. Most of the products are like standard size or medium size, and for that you don't have to understand. Also, to this point, I would say you should also understand how fulfillment by Amazon pricing actually works. I think you cannot go above 18 inches on either side to go oversize. You have to be less than 18 inches on the longer side, less than 14 inches on the medium size, and less than, I think, 8 inches or something on the shorter side. So if you go above that slightly, your product becomes oversized and you're paying more money to Amazon. Be aware of that. Secondly, yeah, I just only follow two rules. Don't increase the carton length by more than 25 inches, and don't increase the weight by 50 pounds of any carton, and that's simple. And Amazon has never penalized me for anything for sending these products, or sending the cartons in a different way. It has worked for me so far.
All right, cool. Jesse said, can you recommend a resource on FBA standards to avoid any extra billing? Jesse, there's a couple good help articles on Amazon. One's going to be the Amazon oversized dimension. This should bring us there. So here's the product size tiers. And I think the FBA fees thing will show you this as well. But Jesse, this information is in the course as well. But you can just go Amazon FBA fees, and I think it's going to show you all the different tiers and parameters and everything. Make sure you find the actual Amazon article because they do change their pricing often. But within here, you can see all the different pricing. So the fulfillment fees, what makes an oversized, what are the actual dimensions, how big of a difference is it between oversized and standard size, and like I said, the pricing changes often, so it has both the pricing here. This probably tells you everything you need to know. I think you can click this too and look for more Amazon fees, and this article will definitely show you everything. So I'll send you a link to this, Jesse, and let me know if that doesn't answer your question. And let's see the next one we have for our friend Moose here. Just a few more questions for Moose. I got 4 more questions for the Moose. Guys, any additional questions, go ahead and drop them in. We're right about at the 2-hour mark, so we will, if we run out of questions, we will wrap up in a few minutes. But Moose has, we'll see if he regrets this, but Moose has told me that he does not have any cutoff time for tonight. So if you have additional questions, go ahead and pop them in the question box. We'll keep Moose for a little bit longer. Slobodon here has a question for you. He said, I'd like to know more about the process of improvements you're doing with your suppliers. Just general points on what kind of technical things do you need to have to be able to go through the process of improvement. And I'm not sure if he's talking about product improvement or process improvement with your supplier. So maybe you can talk about both of them, I guess. I'd be interested here. You went pretty in-depth on how you're customizing products over time. Are you doing, is there anything, like at this point, are you doing like I always like to stick to a 1 modification per order schedule. It sounds like you've done some products now where you're doing, spending 3 months just customizing and then pushing all of it out at once. So I guess can you talk about where your product improvement process is now?
I continuously try to improve my products because you're always getting bad reviews or negative reviews or direct feedback from customers, even in emails saying these are the things that did not work out for them. Some of my products, I would say, few of them are 100% optimized. I'm fully satisfied with their quality, fully satisfied with what I have, instead of packaging wise, instead of quality wise, and customers are happy. I'm still getting 5-star reviews. But the process, product improvement, I think it takes a while, right? I would say it takes minimum 6 months to 12 months to fully optimize your product to where to a point where your customers actually want that thing, right? So you gotta listen to their feedback and change anything that you think is easily changeable or is a feasible change. Sometimes you might get a negative review. Customer is annoyed by one thing, and you think about changing that thing, but that might annoy a lot of other people, right? So you don't have to listen to one customer. You also have to make a rational decision. Is this changing this thing makes any sense? And the process improvement, I can explain on the process improvement too. Once my products start selling, I just tell them to, one of my suppliers in Pakistan, I just tell him to have this product made already when he's not making anything. So I tell them to keep 500 units of that product in stock. Whenever I place an order, it should be able to go right away. And I do the same thing with the other suppliers because I know this product.
So you're basically, because someone asked about a prep center earlier, so you're almost using your supplier as your long-term storage space. Exactly. And not only does it decrease your turnaround time, are they doing that for free?
Sorry, come again?
I'm guessing they're just doing that for free, right?
They are just doing that for free, yes.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that. That's awesome.
They are just doing it for free, and process improvement, product improvement. I'm also working on them continuously with new products. My main goal is to with each supplier, I should be working at least on 3 to 5 different products that I'm going to bring them in the near future, right? So I always um, keep myself on my toes with new products, and I also keep them on toes with different product launches and product ideas that we should be working on. And they are starting to, as I said, they're starting to send me samples for free. They don't even charge me shipping. They don't even charge me the sample making. They just make them as I tell them, and they're quite good at it. But I'm slowly expanding. I'm not seeing just focused on two suppliers or one supplier or 3 suppliers and that's it. You also, some of the things your supplier would not be able to make, and that thing would be related to your brand, but your supplier does not have the capability to make that. So obviously you got to expand into more suppliers eventually, and this is what I'm doing right now. But I try to keep the number of suppliers as less as possible. It makes my communication easier. It makes my actually my life easier for my employees and for myself.
And that leads to my question here: is how do you manage all of this? What's kind of your project management philosophy? Are you like me, where it just turns into pages and pages of to-do lists and notes, or do you have an actual system that you've worked out? Because you have engineering background, I'd imagine you have a pretty cool system built out to actually manage all of this.
Not really. I use Microsoft Project, but I try to make like these launching product stuff, but it does not always work out. The product customization is something that you cannot actually predict. Sometimes supplier is not able to source the right material or the right color, and he gets delayed. Sometimes he's not able to buy a certain piece, and then it's delaying the process for him from another supplier. So there's so many variables that are out of your control. But I usually use Slack, and I usually use Google Calendar, and I always know in my mind, that if I tell my supplier, this is the product you're gonna make, can you make it? He tells me yes. I tell him, okay, you know what? I will ask my employee to do more research on it. I just don't tell him to make something like this. I ask my employee to go and find each and other competitor's reviews, find out the bad things, find out how we can improve this product, make a presentation, present it to me and the supplier, and then we will see what we can do. So for product launches, I don't usually actually follow a schedule, but I do keep like 3 to 5 product launches in my mind for the future.
Yeah, great advice there. And I know a lot of people spend too much time on project management and trying to manage their time and things like that, which is obviously an important thing to do. But just do what works for you. The concept of, for instance, like getting things out of your head and on paper. You heard both me and Moose talk about this, and you've probably heard me talk about it many times in the past, but Moose uses the same vocabulary that I use to describe this phenomenon, where you feel like you're looping. You realize that you keep on coming back to the same issues and the same problems and the same ideas day after day, hour after hour, and that is a toxic thing. If you feel yourself looping or you notice yourself looping, it means that you are putting things off, you are procrastinating, you're letting things build up. So just get it out of your head. Almost every person we brought in for Six Figure Showdown so far has loved Slack. So how can you use Slack to get things out of your head? Well, I'm using Slack all the time because they have this reminder feature. So say Moose is talking to a supplier and the supplier says, I don't have that today, but I'm going to have it on Monday. Well, you can literally say in Slack, go /remind me to message supplier about delayed order on Monday. You can put the time or whatever at 3 p.m. So now Monday at 3 p.m. I'm going to get a reminder to message the supplier about the delayed order. Right? So little things like this. This just gets it out of your head. Now it's not like it's a hard schedule or something, but at least you're not going to loop over it. It's not going to take up brain space and processing space. And I'll do this a lot with Google Calendar too, like Moose also mentioned. You know,
Yep.
here's my Google Calendar here. I have things like, you know, obviously I have trips and things like that, but I also have like, here's the day that Dropbox, our subscription to Dropbox renews. So I'm essentially doing the exact same thing I do in Slack here. I just set a reminder for myself on Wednesday, November 15th. It's going to pop up and say Dropbox, and then I'm going to say, oh, okay, I have to go check on the Dropbox subscription and figure out if I want to add more users or whatever I want to do. So I'll do this a lot, and you can see just right here, like different things that I need to analyze. And so this is a way you can start to use these things.
I do the exact same thing. Google Calendar is my go-to for reminders and, you know, planning my day. I love Google Calendar. I use it, and that's, as you said, you know, once you jot it down, you get a really nice sleep for the night. Otherwise, you know, it keeps looping in your head all day that you have to do this thing tomorrow. Once you jot it down, your brain kind of knows, okay, you know what, we have taken care of this problem, and tomorrow we're gonna do it. But for now, just stop thinking about it.
Yeah, and same with planning the following day before bed. It gives your brain a sense of finality and comfort that these things are actually going to be done in the future. A lot of entrepreneurs have trouble sleeping, and it's because you can't stop thinking. And if you don't give your brain these opportunities to not loop over information, if you're trying to remember a date in the future or a time that something needs to happen or a conversation you need to have in the future, your brain won't be able to work on anything else. It'll just keep looping those things like, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. So, great takeaway there. All right, so how many more questions do we have? I have one last question for you, my friend. Any additional questions, guys? Go ahead and pop them in. If we don't have any other questions after this answer, we will start to wrap up. We do have a $100 cash prize giveaway we're going to do in a few minutes here, so make sure to stick around for that. But the last question as of now is from Frank, and Frank says, hey, Moose, because you are living in Canada, are you using a prep company? Okay, so we already answered this, I think. So are you using a prep company at all, Moose, and have you ever at any point?
I'm only using FBA Prep for handling my returns, but not for actually going to Amazon. Because since I'm not a US base, and you obviously get a lot of unfulfillable inventory from Amazon, so I do kind of need a prep center to take care of all of this stuff. So I'm only using for refunds and returns a prep center.
Okay, perfect. And as a part owner in FBA Prep, I'm going to message you after this and get you over to FBA Inspection in the future, because I want to get all the logistics clients of FBA Prep over to FBA Inspection. So
I'll do
that after this. Yeah, no, your inventory is fine in there and everything. I think we might have already talked about this too, but I'm trying to transition all the inventory out of FBA Prep and into FBA Inspection. So we'll talk about that after, though.
Okay.
All right, cool. Well, my friend, that is the final question. So, just an incredible session. So many great takeaways. And guys, in the question box right now, please let us know some of the great takeaways and say your thank yous to Moose. I think this was an incredible session, my friend. I think so many great little golden nuggets, and again, it's just so inspirational to see people like yourself that even with a full-time job, with less people than most people, or less time than most people have in the community, you have made a huge, drastic change for yourself and your family and generations of your family that'll now live better because of what you're doing here now. So it's impressive to see, and it's an impressive story, my friend. Two final questions for you. Is there anyone in the community that you want to give a shout out to? Anyone that's helped you out a lot that is in the community that has helped you a ton?
Yes, I would say my success would not have been possible if I wasn't a part of this e-commerce group. The wealth of knowledge and the information that I had in this platform, and not only for just the problems that I'm facing right now, but also for the problems that might come in the future too. Like, you know, you're reading about this stuff and you think, okay, this person is facing this particular problem, for example, with shipping or with Amazon, EBC or whatever. You know, there are so many things in this group alone that I haven't found anywhere else. And maybe there are there, but they're probably just scattered in different places, and you have to go and hunt for them. And I think this was a very nice and huge investment for me when I started out this. And if anybody is, you know, thinking of doubting themselves, you know, not doing it, I think, you know, this is a great resource. I used to listen to Will 1 year ago, and now I'm sitting here talking with him. That's a great opportunity for me. And I think if I can do it, anybody else can do it. All you have to, you know, actually do is think about what you're doing. You may have to give up a lot of other things in your life, you know, if you and I've said that in my previous post too. Obsession is really important if you want to achieve anything big in your life. You just cannot come and say, okay, I want to make money on Amazon, but you're still not willing to give up other things in your life, the stupid things. You have to give up a lot of things to become a proper businessman, to become a proper entrepreneur. You will learn a lot of things during the way. There are few people out there that I would say, Kristen Bradley, I usually talk to her, you know, Steve, I talked to. They're all Canadian sellers. Reed Mansa was really helpful when I was starting out. I read his book on PPC. He also had a website for reviews. You obviously, there Dr. Ben's posts I've usually seen, they were a great advice for me. And I don't get me wrong, but I kind of challenged myself to, you know, compete with him because that was my target, honestly. And I wanted to compete with him and make sales. But he's a great guy. I love his posts. He's a very funny guy. I love his stuff on different things. And if I'm missing out on anyone,
no, those are some great community members.
Yeah, whole community is great. They have a wealth of knowledge, not just Amazon, e-commerce as in general, with the warehousing, you know, Shopify and marketing, stuff like that. So there's a great deal of knowledge.
Yeah, and I just want to disclaimer: I did not ask Moose to say that before the session, so, so I appreciate it. Yeah, and I'm happy that we could be a part of your journey, because it seems like your journey is just beginning. This guy has made over $1 million as an entrepreneur and is still working for someone else. So your journey is just beginning, my friend.
Yeah, I think so. And I still don't see myself quitting my job soon, because I still want to make this a little bit more bigger, because
well, you talked about the sacrifices that are required, right? A lot of the way you can build your business the fastest right now is by not taking profit out of the business, and perhaps even putting more of your income into the business. And you're seeing obviously massive revenue growth. You're a little bit like Amazon right now, right? You're focusing on top line growth at the expense of bottom line profit, but at any point you can just turn the spigot into the profit mode and just start, you know, printing money. So I think it's a great strategy. All right, so I got 2 more questions. And then we'll do the $100 cash prize giveaway and start to wrap things up here. Gerald said, how do you contact a buyer about returned product issues if the buyer doesn't get Amazon's emails? I think Amazon just shut this down, like I think Moose said, October 26th. So right now there isn't a way, Gerald. I'm sure there will be a way soon. So to sell off some of Moose's time here, feel free to post in the Facebook group and tag him, and maybe there's something that I don't think, Moose, you haven't figured a new way out to do that yet.
No, I posted that. There's a post already going on the group right now, and a lot of people are talking about. I posted that I think October 7th is when Amazon first made like a slight change on contacting the customer, finding that customer, and October 26th is where they made like a very big change where you could not see anything. So there's some stuff going on. I think there might be a solution as posted by one of the group members. It's I think Feedback 5 has found a way to around this, and I'm gonna try that out. Actually, Kirsten Bradley is the one she told me about it. There's a post going on already. If you search about Amazon reviews or something, I posted that. So I guess Feedback 5 has the solution to that problem. I haven't tested it out myself, but this is what I heard so far.
Yeah, and I'll try to find a link to that post for you, Gerald, because I know it is in there. Yeah, here it is right here. So I'll send this to you. Yeah, I know there's another post. Okay, yeah, it's all in here. Yeah, it's just one long comment. I saw one comment, and I was like, this can't be it. But yeah, there's a bunch of comments on here. I'll send that to you, Gerald. Gerald has another question for you, Moose. He said, are you all sea shipping? So are you still doing air freight mostly, or?
No, during the start, I don't go for sea shipping. I want to launch my product very soon, find out the feedback from the customer as early as I can. So as I said, during the product launches, I don't see myself making much money, but my previous products are more going towards sea shipping than the newer products. Newer products are still coming in by air. And,
okay.
Yeah, the ones that I've got a good handle on are being shipped by sea now. And it's obviously, this is the strategy where you can think long term, and your margins would be more when you would obviously go sea shipping. You're saving a lot of money.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, that, my friend, is the final question. We have a $100 cash prize giveaway coming up here, so I'll go ahead and pop that on the screen. $100 cash prize giveaway. I got a question in mind to ask people, and I don't even know the answer to this officially. So I'm even in the dark on the answer to this, and I think it's going to be a semi-difficult question that whoever gets this one will really deserve the $100. Moose, what is your favorite number? And yeah, what's your favorite number? What are you feeling?
Any number?
Any number, but try to keep it single digit. Someone came out and said like 99 once. I was like, well, pick a different number.
9 is my favorite number.
9? So you were going to pick 99. All right, so 9, which is awesome because usually people say 3. That's our number. Almost every person says 3. So the 9th person to get this correct is going to win $100 cash right now. So this is an interesting one, guys, because 9 people, right? So people are already putting guessing answers here. So here's your question. I got a question, $100 cash prize to whoever wins this. 9th person to get it correct is going to win. And here we go. And I don't even know the answer to this one officially, guys, so we're going to go to Moose in a minute or two here and see what the actual answer is. When did the Moose get started in this business? And I think I know, but you have to give me a month and a year. When did the Moose get started in this business? And again, the 9th person to get this correct. Yeah, some people are saying what I think the answer is, so we'll see who gets this right for the 9th time. All right, cool. So we'll give it a second here. Answers flooding in. Keep the answers coming, guys. And we'll see in just a second. And Moose, while people are guessing, and you kind of already did this, but do you have any parting words of advice? Because you've seen a lot of people in the community come and go. You've seen a lot of people in the community make the effort and not make it happen. You've seen a lot of people make it happen. Is there any huge piece of advice? It seems like one big turning point for you was the fundamentals and going back and focusing on those fundamentals. Is there anything else any parting advice you can give people that are still struggling to get this thing started?
Yep. I think, going back to the fundamentals or even before doing something different, some people a lot of people actually do procrastinate. They doubt themselves that they won't be able to do this. And, they try to be, I was a perfectionist, when I launched my first product, I spent a lot of time on it, thinking it's not going to sell, it will sell. Even if it does not sell, you take some action, go out there, do it. You will learn a lot of things along the way. Just don't undermine yourself. Even other people are telling you, okay, just, this cannot happen. This is not for you. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to understand your capabilities. You have to understand your inner self, what you're good at, and take action. Even if you go wrong, and for me, mistake is a mistake if you don't learn anything from it. Mistakes turns to a lesson if you learn something from it, right? You will make a lot of mistakes. I think Jeff Bezos says that too, you know, like mistakes, without mistakes, he would not be where he is. So take action, make some mistakes. Don't be afraid to make some mistakes. And I think if you're not making mistakes, you are not improving. By only with your mistakes, you can learn what you actually need to do right. And once you do that, only then you can succeed. So
great advice, and I'm sure it wasn't intentionally, because it's always the same advice, right? It's always take action, and I know the feeling that it seems like such simple advice, and it seems like such overplayed advice. But once you start really seeing some success, you just look back on it and you're like, man, it really is. You just got to take action. You can't overthink it. You got to keep moving forward. So great advice there. All right, and I guess we're ready for the answer to that question, and I hope I have the right answer in mind. So, Moose, reveal to us all, when did you get started in this business?
In this business or first product launch?
Whichever one you said during the webinar, because we want to give people a chance here.
There's
a specific date I had in mind.
I think this business would be April 2016 when I started sourcing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's what I had in mind too. So I already calculated out, and we got the winner here. And the winner is someone that's I love what she did right after she won too. She started just throwing dates in. But you did get the answer right the first time, Julie. So Julie Stackpole is our winner here today. She got it right. She was the 9th correct answer. April 2016 was the answer. That's when the Moose got started. And I just can't stop saying your name, my friend, the Moose himself. So awesome stuff, man. Julie, we're going to send you a $100 cash prize. I think that's like the 3rd time Julie's won a $100 cash prize. Julie is attending these webinars every week. Julie doesn't even need to start this business. She's just getting paid to show up at this point. So awesome stuff. Glad to see you won again, Julie. I just saw Julie in Hong Kong just a couple weeks ago, too, so very fitting. Thanks, Julie, for being here, and thanks for the correct answer. We had lots of other correct answers, obviously. So, yeah, great stuff, guys. Make sure you're jumping back in. I saw a few people left right when they knew they hadn't won the prize. But yeah, every week we're giving away a $100 cash prize, so you'll definitely have another opportunity for that. And with that, Moose, I think we will wrap it up. And it's not too far after our 2-hour mark. Just an incredible session, though. And as you can see in the question box, lots of people saying thank you. A few people said this is one of the best sessions they've seen yet. So, I mean, just an incredible session. Thanks again for coming in, man. Congratulations on all the success that you've created for yourself so far. And I can't wait. It's an honor that I get to be a part of it and our community gets to be a part of it. And I can't wait to see what you do by 2020. I mean, keep this growth rate up. You're going to be at 10, 20 million by 2020. So.
All right. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it's a great opportunity for me. Obviously, being a small entrepreneur or a small seller, this is like a first webinar for me. I'm doing and talking to other people. So it means a lot to me. And I really appreciate whoever voted for me as the October winner, and I hope I answered everybody's question. And,
well, I think you did. You went beyond answering all the questions. Tons of value here today. Everyone who's voting, everyone who did vote for you is patting themselves on the back here because this was an extremely interesting and valuable session. So thanks again for being here, man, and keep us updated on the continuing growth because I think, geez, once you quit your job, you're going to have so much more time on your hands. I can only imagine where you're going to take this thing in the next few years. So really exciting to be a part of it. And thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and by the way, if this is your first webinar ever, you did a great job. I see people that have been on hundreds of webinars who don't do nearly as well. You got the audio, you got the lighting, you got the content. So yeah, it was a great session all around.
I was all ready for it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, we'll start to wrap things up here. Daniel Hicks has the one last question. He said, how did you get the hope you don't mind the Moose nickname because I think it's going to stick. Yeah, I know. It's the best nickname I've ever heard. So the Moose himself, goodbye, my friend. Thank you so much for being here one more time. Thank you to everyone else for being here. I thought it was a great session. Hopefully you did as well. Hopefully you had as good of a time as myself and the Moose did. Thanks to Steve for keeping the question marks going. And guys, I will see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I think next Tuesday is going to we might have a guest in if it's really, really good. If not, I'm going to be coming back next week for some in-depth training as well. So next week should be a pretty valuable session as well. It's going to be tough to top this one, but we'll do our best. And I'll see you guys there. So 7 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday. I'll see you guys. And other than that, take the advice of the Moose and get out there and take some action, guys. Use this inspiration to actually make a noticeable stride forward in your business, a significant stride forward. So get out there, take action, and thank you one last time to the Moose and Steve and to all of you for being here. Much love to you all, and I'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Take lots of action.
Thank you.